Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to you. My name is ProfRich, and this is Learning English. And today's topic is about personal improvement or personal development. This was a topic chosen by our language learning community. And here you can see the plan for today's class. So we're gonna talk about vocabulary related to personal development, how to build confidence. Confidence when speaking another language is quite important, as I'm sure you all know. We're going to listen to positive messages about English, that is, about learning English, some positive messages. We're going to read about how to make your own messages. There is a special word for these messages, actually, and that is some vocabulary we will learn. And we will learn about how to set goals and discuss other areas of personal development. Thank you for everybody who took part in the poll. 91% of people are interested in personal development. So hello to everybody in the chat. If you are watching on a desktop computer or laptop, then please comment in the chat. That's over there on the right of your screen, on the left of me. And if you're on a mobile device like a tablet or a mobile phone, you can find the live chat below. And if you're watching this and it's not live, well, hello to our lovely video viewers. Hello, Nipa Begum. Hello, Daisy. Rich is grooming his beard. That's right. That's actually pretty much right. Hello, Vladimir. Hello, Alexander. Zoya, Manuel, Gordillo. And Daisy said, I wanted to do robots. All right, we'll do robots next time. And hello, Kamal and Pallavi and Tatiana. People are arriving now, so we can begin our class. So to start today's class, I want to simply show you some pictures related to personal development. And I want you to match the pictures to the vocabulary. So very simple English task. This is not a learning task so much. It's more a review, consolidation, and it's a task that we call a warmer. And a warmer gets your mind on the right topic. So take a look at those lovely pictures there and match the pictures to the words. Type your answers in the chat. There are 8 pictures and there are 8 words which all relate to personal development and positive English for success, inspirational vocabulary. Julia's there already, and that is correct, Julia. Well done. And Reem with number 4. Yes, you're good. Julia, that's not quite right. I understand that some of these pictures are a little ambiguous because these words are related to concepts in our minds, and it can be quite difficult sometimes to find a good visual representation of a concept in our minds. So I will give you another 3 minutes to complete that task. Theoretically. And you can see our lovely timer there in the bottom right of the screen. That's right, everybody. If you like our lovely timer, then hit that like button and say, yes, I want to be positive by hitting the like button on this video. Have you hit the like button yet? Smash that like button. I'm really impressed by the answers there in the chat. Daisy's smashed it. Perfect. Does anyone have any questions about the vocabulary here? Are there any terms you wish me to clarify? Excuse me, teacher, could you clarify this, please? Excuse me, teacher, could you clarify confidence, please? Does anyone have a question about any of the vocabulary? Sorry, Julia, 8 is not empowerment. Again, it could be, but I've tried to be as clear as I can with these pictures. Breakthrough, says Kamal. Yeah, that's a good one. So a breakthrough is when in some process you feel like you've just stopped, like your process is hitting a wall and you can't go any further. And you're like, I need a breakthrough. When will I get my breakthrough? It's like you've stopped. So a lot of language learners have this in something called the intermediate plateau, that they've just stopped and their language learning is not increasing and they need to get that breakthrough to get through to the next level. So we can see that in picture 3. So we have commitment is 7. Empowerment is number 2. We can see there Mario with his power-ups. Growth is number 5. Confidence is actually number 8. But I do understand why someone would say 8 looks like empowerment, because it does. 1 is achievement. Goal is 4. Inspiration is 6, Steve Jobs, and we also have there an inspirational quote from Steve Jobs. And then breakthrough is number 3. Well done, everybody. So no other questions apart from breakthrough. Great. So we're going to focus on confidence first of all. I think that as language learners, we can really appreciate the value of confidence, because it does take a lot of confidence as a non-native speaker to speak in another language. It can make you a lot more nervous than speaking your own language. Excuse me. And obviously this is something I know myself from speaking Spanish. Now I'm not so shy about it, but when I first started, it was very difficult. So confidence is important. So what I'm going to show you is I will show you 5 phrases which relate to the idea of confidence. And I want you to rearrange the letters in the phrases in order to make them phrases related to confidence. Okay? So basically, the letters are mixed up in the words and you need to order the letters, put the letters in the correct order. Okay? So you can see that here. So number 1, for example, I'll start it. The first word is positive for number 1. And again, I'll give you about 4 minutes to do this. What's this Manuel saying? Absolutely. Confidence is the mother of a myriad of wise men and women. For if the flies. What do you mean with for if the flies, Manuel? Have you been having an early beer on Tuesday afternoon? I'm just joking. For if the flies, what does that mean? And Parvi has just arrived and she's already smashed that like button. Well done, Kamal. You've got it. Do you know what that means, Kamal? You have got it correct. The question is, what does it mean? Positive self-talk. Do you know? So these are all ways of building confidence. And number one, correctly, as Kamal first put, and Alexander, is positive self-talk. Reem says he needs Harry Potter's wand. How about if I give you the first letter, Reem? Does that help? You now have the first letter. What is that, Manuel? Excelsior. And we also have exerciser. Exerciser, really? Alexander says positive self-talk means persuade. No, it doesn't. Persuade is when you talk to someone else to get them to do something for you. Positive self-talk is about yourself. It's not about talking to someone else. Whoa, this coffee is strong. And for some reason, I put some star anise in my coffee. Does anyone know why I did that? I don't know why I did that. Can anyone tell me why I put star anise in my coffee? By the way, this is star anise. Totally unconnected to the idea of confidence. But yes, interestingly enough, ProfRich decides to put star anise in his coffee. And you can write your answers as to why I might do something like that. And send your answers to ProfRich@gmail.com. The best answer will win a secret prize. Have you ever put star anise in your coffee? Maybe because you're sick. Is that what star anise is about, Pallavi? Is star anise like something that you take when you're sick? Daisy says positive self-talk is like what a narcissistic person talks to themselves. No. Positive. Okay. So these are all ways of building confidence, Daisy. And positive self-talk is like having the mind in your head that says like, come on, you can do it. You can get through this. You have the capability. You are a strong person. You can make this happen, right? So it's having that positive self-talk. Now, when I was younger, I had a lot of negative self-talk. But these days, actually, I have quite a lot of positive self-talk. Sometimes I have negative self-talk, but I feel a lot more positive about myself and my ability today. And some of that is through actively saying things to myself. You know, you can do this, you can get better, you can improve, you can learn this stuff, right? But also it's getting older. I think you become more self-confident. So number 2 is exercise. Exercise is a great way of building confidence. If you're not exercising regularly, you should try it. Okay, just do 30 minutes twice a week to start, and then start to push yourself more. For me, exercise, it really helps if I integrate exercise into my necessary routine. So for me, for example, I travel on my bicycle to work And that's the only way I go to work. So I don't go to work any other way. No car, no bus, has to be on the bike. And just from that, like 20 minutes a day, every day, most days, it really helps with exercise and fitness. So you're absolutely right, Daisy. Very good. And other people who got that, Kamal, it's avoid negative influence. What do you think I mean when I say avoid negative influence? What is the negative influence? Who is the negative influence? It can be difficult, that, because sometimes the negative influence can be a friend or even a family member. Do you know anyone who has negative influences in their family? Maybe you have some negative influences in your family. That's difficult because, especially when you're young, you can't just say, hey, I don't want to talk to you anymore, brother or mother or cousin or whatever. So it's really difficult, isn't it, to have a negative influence in your family, but you still need to try to avoid those negative influences. Unless you feel like you're in a place to help someone who's a negative influence. Of course, you can only help yourself. You can't force someone to change. Number 4, we have practice public speaking. Public speaking is a great way to feel better about yourself. And I often recommend an international organization. So I recommend an international organization called Toastmasters. And you can find the Toastmasters all over the place. Here is the logo in the top left. Toastmasters are an organization, a group of people who get together and practice public speaking. And it's a great place to meet people, to practice public speaking and to improve your confidence. And you'll find that people are very encouraging about that. And number 5 is affirmations. Does anyone know what affirmations are? What are affirmations? Anyone know what affirmations are? Reem says, yes, my friend has a very negative influence on me, and this is why I hated my job for a period of time. Yeah. So with friends, sometimes the best thing is to just give them lots of space. Just get away. Stop hanging out with them. Tell them that you're busy. Just give them some space. Maybe they'll start to change themselves. But because you can choose your friends, so you need to choose friends who are supportive. And if you think, I don't have enough friends to be selective, then start joining some communities, because it's quite easy to make friends. You just go out there, join some clubs, you'll find nice people. But try different things, not just one club. Try one, try another. You'll find a good community. So Alexander is using the grammar definition, saying that an affirmation is a declaration that something is true. So that is the English grammar definition. But here we're talking about affirmations in the context of personal improvement. So that means affirmations are a bit different. So Pavia says affirmations are positive statements or phrases used to challenge and overcome negative thoughts. They are meant to reinforce self-belief and can help improve confidence and motivation. Did you Google that, Pavia? That's a pretty good definition. Yeah, and then we have every day I'm getting better and better as an affirmation. Yeah, I don't like that affirmation because it's not specific enough. It's too open. I really think you can do a lot better than an affirmation like that. It's very general and it's likely to be kind of rejected by your subconscious. And it's important with affirmations that you say things that you can reasonably accept. It's not very useful to use affirmations that you don't accept. And Ty Delenga says, hi, Rich. Hello, Ty Delenga. I've never heard of you before. Who are you? How are you doing? It's nice to meet you, I guess. Haven't heard of you before. Zoya says, winners never quit, quitters never win. Interesting. Great. So these are all different ways of improving your confidence. Now we're going to zoom in on affirmations. We're going to zoom right in onto affirmations. I want you to listen to some guy giving affirmations and type the words you hear in the chat. So we will listen and type the words you hear in the chat. You can see that we have 6 affirmations here. And these affirmations all relate to learning English. So get ready. I want you to type the words you hear in the chat. All right? Okay. Let's begin. Number 1. I can express myself very clearly in English. I can express myself very clearly in English. I can express myself very clearly in English. So the answer here is I can express myself very clearly in English. Okay. Number 2. Every day my English speaking grows better. Every day my English speaking grows better. Every day my English speaking grows better. So type the words that you hear into the chat. These are affirmations, which are a way of boosting confidence. Quite a simple way. They don't work for everybody. And my experience of affirmations is they work really well when they align closely with who you are and they just encourage a process already happening. So yeah, well done to everybody in the chats. Ashley, Sonia, Purka, Kamal, Julia, well done, Tatiana. It's every day my English speaking grows better. Let's listen to number 3. I'm a confident English speaker. Better. I'm a confident English speaker. Better. I'm a confident English speaker. Good job, Zoya, Pallavi, Daisy, Pavia, Julia, Manuel. Very good. So the answer there is I'm a confident English speaker. Forget better, Ashley. That was from the previous phrase. It was every day my English speaking grows better. I'm a confident English speaker. Thank you, everybody. Remember to hit the like button if you haven't hit the like button yet. Smash that like button. We are learning about personal development and positive English. And these are affirmations, a way of growing your confidence. So next. I feel comfortable speaking English in any situation. English. I feel comfortable speaking English in any situation. I feel comfortable speaking English in any situation. Type the words that you hear into the chat of these positive affirmations to boost confidence. They're all related to learning English. And this one was, of course, finally, I feel comfortable speaking English in any situation. I feel comfortable speaking English in any situation. Okay. Number 5. People often compliment my English. People often compliment my English. People often compliment my English. Well done, Christina Sands, and welcome to the chat. So this was people often compliment my English. And we'll move on now to number 6, the last one. I love improving my communication. I love improving my communication. I love improving my communication. Please do hit thumbs up on the video. Hit the like button. Thank you. I love improving my communication. So these are 6 affirmations that an English learner could have. And an important thing is, if you're going to use affirmations, then you should choose things that are quite similar to your current situation. So, for example, we don't want to say, I can speak 27 languages really fluently. I can speak 27 languages really fluently. So that's a bit much, right? I can speak 2 languages now, so maybe 27 languages is too much. So maybe instead I say, I can speak 3 languages fluently and I love learning languages, right? So make it kind of realistic so that you can accept the affirmation. I'm going to show you a text. The text is about affirmations, and it's some instructions about learning affirmations. I want you to read the text and remember the information. So read the text and remember the information. You have just 5 minutes to do that. And here is the article. Read the text and remember the information. 5 minutes. Pollen is a way that plants spread, and in spring and summer you get a lot of pollen in the air, especially grass and tree pollen. And the pollen is a common thing that people are allergic to. So I have something which you call hay fever. That's what we call it, hay fever. So hay fever is when you're allergic to pollen. So some people saying that they can't read the text. So just let me paste this into paste bin. And how do I do this? I always forget how to do this. You would think that paste bin would be a little bit simpler than what it actually is. Sign in to add a comment. Got it. Took a little while. Okay, so I'm going to paste the article into the chat using a paste bin link. At least that's what I would do, except that YouTube chat is one of the most retarded things I've ever experienced in my entire life. Okay. You have 2 minutes to remember the information, and then I'll ask some questions. You can also use the paste bin link that's in the chat. Okay, I'm going to cheat. That's the end of our timer. You've had enough time. That's loads of time. Let's move on to some questions. So, here's the questions 1 to 4. You can write your answers in the chat. 1 to 4, write your answers in the chat. What do you remember from the article that we read? Maria del Carmen says, hello, everybody, and she smashes that like button. Thank you, Maria. So question number 1, what should you do first when using affirmations according to the process? Daisy has it perfectly. That is word for word what it says in the article, which is select clear and positive statements that reflect your goal. Select clear and positive statements that reflect your goals, or that resonate with your goals, to be absolutely precise. And then we have question 2, which is how often are you recommended to listen to your recorded affirmation? How often are you recommended to listen to your recorded affirmation? And you're right, Reem, Manuel, Daisy. The answer was at least twice a day. At least twice a day. All right, the next one. While listening to the recording, are you supposed to visualize? This is a bit of a daft question. And the answer, of course, is yes. You should visualize, and you really want to feel the emotion attached to that positive goal. And finally, why might you need to regularly update or record new affirmations? Why might you need to regularly update and record new affirmations? That's a pretty good answer, Vladimir, and it more or less captures the meaning. Julia, that's absolutely right. Your improvement may be subject to change. So it was actually to keep the practice fresh and relevant. So we do not want these affirmations to get boring, and also we don't want them to be irrelevant. So that's kind of affirmations. And like I said with affirmations, some people like them a lot. Some people don't like them. An important thing is that your affirmations must resonate. If your affirmations seem weird, outlandish, strange, they don't give you a good feeling, then forget those affirmations. Try something else. Sometimes that can be your subconscious telling you that's not the right direction. Go in another direction. So yes, affirmations can be useful. I used to use affirmations when I was 20. I don't use them anymore. Maybe I should. Maybe I should start using them again. Let's move on now. We're going to talk now about setting goals. So if we go back to before, we talked about number 4, goals relating to personal development. Goals are pretty important. And of course, when we have goals, it makes it easier to aim for those goals and to try to achieve something. But what we might think is, how do we actually make good goals? How do we set goals? Take a look at these instructions for setting goals. These are tips or advice for setting good, useful, productive goals. They are productive objectives. I'd like you to try and guess what the missing words are. Try and guess what the missing words are. Write your guesses in the chat and let's have a look what you can come up with. So I'd like you to guess in the chat. What do you think? What do you think? Oh, I need to show you this. Sorry. Of course, it helps if you have the context. Thank you, Teacher Rich. You've given us the context. So there's the context. I'd like you to guess what the missing words are. We're getting some good ideas. So Vladimir says, be realistic. Kamal says, be specific. You know what, Kamal? I think you might have nailed that. You're at least very close. No, you've nailed it. Well done. So number 1 is, in fact, be specific. So we don't want your goal to be like, I am super happy, or I am very wealthy, because it's not specific. You want it to be very specific. Ashley Chen says, I feel embarrassed to give myself affirmations. Maybe Asian culture is more conservative to give a compliment to yourself. That's right, Ashley. So in Asian culture, you have more of a collectivist idea rather than individualist. What I would recommend, Ashley, is just try, here's something. When your house is empty and you're alone, find a mirror, go to the mirror, smile to yourself, and just say, I like myself. I like myself. I like myself. I know this sounds absolutely retarded, but it's not. You need to try it. And the smiling is important. Smile to yourself and then say it. And see what you notice. You could even talk to yourself as you. Say, I like you, this person I'm talking to. Try that. See how it goes. That's actually an activity from Tony Robbins, who is a famous personal development guru, American, of course, from the 70s and 80s. I think someone once told me, until you love yourself, you can't love other people. So if you don't love yourself, you can't love other people. So first we must learn to love ourselves. So I don't think anyone's got this. Number 2 is to make them measurable. We had some good guesses though, because Daisy said make them your priority. Christina said make them achievable, which is very close actually to the answer. Reem also said attainable and achievable. Julia says make them happen. I think Julia skipping to the end of the process there. But we had some great guesses. And this activity, by the way, the purpose is not to get them correct. The purpose is the fun of guessing and discussing the ideas that you come up with. So number 3 is very similar to number 2. So number 3 is ensure they are possible. And actually we had lots of ideas like that. For example, Daisy just said reachable. And reachable, that's basically the same as possible. Reem said attainable and achievable. Also very similar. So we're getting some good guesses now. Zoya says for number 4, align them with yourself. That's actually pretty close, I think, Zoya. That's very close. Julia says align them with your goals. Yeah, so align them with yourself and your life. So you want your goals to be aligned with yourself. If I make a goal now and I say, I have £5 million in the bank. That might sound fun, but actually that doesn't align with me or my life because I'm not a very money motivated person. I recognize that money is important, but really money does not really excite me or motivate me. So if I have a choice of 2 jobs and one of them is paid a bit better, but it's a job I don't want to do, I'm not going to take that job. So really for me, it doesn't make sense for me to have a goal, which is to be very wealthy. I instead need another goal, which perhaps enables wealth, but without being the actual goal itself. For example, maybe for me, I say, I'm the best I am the best and most popular English teacher on YouTube. And perhaps, because that goal resonates a little bit more, and perhaps if I become that, or I am that, then, well, I don't need to worry about money anymore. All right. Number 5. Assign deadlines. So with number 5, we're putting the timer on. So we're going to say, by the year 2025, I have a PhD. Notice I'm using present simple for this. Some people like to set goals with present simple. Some people use will. There's some discussion with personal development gurus where they say it's better to use present simple because it helps you to accept this idea is true. Yep, well done, Zoya. Ones or assignments. So it's determine which goals are most important. It's important to decide from all your goals, which ones do you really feel passionate about? Because this is really, it's not just about aiming in the right direction. It's also about motivation. Number 7 is to divide them into manageable steps. And you can see the other ones there as well. So divide them into manageable steps, write them down, and review them regularly. So this is the process for setting goals. How do you feel about setting goals in the chat? Do you often set goals? Do you find it useful to set goals? And do you agree with this process for setting goals? I'd like to hear from people, especially people who are incredibly successful, such as Manuel Gordillo with his 72 children and big bank account. Do you often set goals, Manuel? I'm not sure if Manuel's a big goal person, but I'd be interested to know. What do you all think about setting goals, and what do you think about this process? And I'm going full screen. Hello. So just to read out the process for those who are listening, not sure why I'm flickering. To read out the process, it is be specific, make them measurable, ensure they are possible, align them with yourself and your life, assign deadlines to them, determine which goals are most important, divide them into manageable steps, write them down, and review them regularly. Set goals till you're in your coffin. It's my motto, says Manuel. Fantastic. Mr. LaFauci has joined us. This is someone who knows a lot about goals. So Domenico says, setting goals that you desire to achieve involves several factors that you must consider before you set out to work towards your objectives. Yes, I'm certain that Domenico is a big goal person, and I know that he sets goals and achieves his goals as well. So Risa says, absolutely correct. Any further comment, Risa? Reem says, I usually set goals. However, sometimes I don't follow them. This is why I'm reading Act Like a Success and Think Like a Success by Steve H. So Reem, I actually have some books to recommend at the end of this stream. I'm going to recommend some personal development books, which I've read. Pavia says setting goals is important as it provides direction, motivation, and a sense of purpose, helping individuals achieve their desired outcomes and personal growth. Pure Care says, do you take antihistamines? Yes. just in the month of July and August. Right, so I think it's time to move on. So at the start of the class, you might remember we talked about several words related to the idea of personal development. So those words are achievement, inspiration, empowerment, breakthrough, commitment, confidence, growth, and goals. We have now talked about goals, and we've talked about empowerment and confidence. So now we are going to talk about inspiration and achievement. So let's start by talking about inspiration. So I guess the question with inspiration is, choose one of these things here and say why it inspires you. So look at these things on the screen. Inspiration. Choose one and say why it inspires you. So do you have a personal hero? And if so, who and why do they inspire you? And I'll join you in this. So this is just, whenever I start to give my opinion, I always like to say this is my opinion. I'm an English teacher. I can really help you learn English. But on many issues, I'll just give my opinion. And now I'm going to give you my opinion on inspiration. So there are many things which really inspire me. But I have to say that recently, and more in my case, something that really inspires me is spirituality. That's personally for me. And I realize not everyone is inspired by spirituality. I just had a conversation with my partner, that's my business partner, Neil Travis, the teacher, who is not inspired by spirituality at all. He doesn't have questions of that nature. But for me, spirituality has inspired me more and more over the last few years, and especially the last few months in my life. And I've started to really find that diving more into spirituality can help you to really resonate with the universe if you start to find the right path. The spiritual path is not an easy one. It goes on for a long time. But when things do start to resonate in a spiritual manner, I find that you can be driven on a new level, which you weren't able to before. So I personally have started to find spirituality very inspirational. And an interesting aspect of it is the more spiritual you become, the more you start to attract spiritual people in your life. And you start to find yourself surrounded by other people who also are very spiritual and inspired. It doesn't have to be any specific religion. Could be Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism. There's all these different ways of being spiritual and getting in touch with the universe and God and all the rest of it. And different people have different ways of expressing that. But I do find that when you really find yourself resonating with that, it does draw people in who are also of that mind. So that's my little conversation about something that inspires me. I'd like you to tell me now in the chat what things inspire you. So what do we have? Alexander said, Jesus Christ inspires me. I can understand that, Alexander, as I just talked about. Domenico Lafauci says, talking about goals, I believe establishing which goals you want to attain is a key component. That's exactly right, Domenico. And that's what I was focusing on with those instructions for setting goals. Pallavi says, I don't know what inspires me. Well, without being too crude, Pallavi, something that is inspiring for young people is other young people. So often there's someone you want to hang around with, or someone you really get on with, a friend you have a good time with, or a boy or girl who you want to get the attention of. And that actually can be quite inspirational for young people. Just be careful because you can get burnt. But it can be a big motivation and inspiration for young people and for old people, actually. Yeah, Manuel says, to be honest, I'm not spiritual at all. Yeah, just like Neil, he's also not spiritual at all. Just he doesn't have questions about the world. He's grounded and earthy. That's fine. So Pure Kerr is inspired by stories of people like Abdul Kamal, Abraham Lincoln, and Barack Obama. Yeah, Barack Obama's really involved in personal development. Barack Obama has a great quote where he says, "Before you change the world, change yourself." Before you change the world, change yourself. So if you want to make the world a better place, how about you start by making you a better person? Pavia says spirituality and religion inspire people because they offer a framework of beliefs, rituals, and practices that provide a sense of purpose, guidance, and moral principles. Yeah, that is a very rational take, Pavia. And personally, I think it's much more than that. I think that actually, for me, the inspiration from spirituality goes beyond rationality to the irrational. And I think you cannot actually logically say what it is at the core of spirituality. This is well captured by the Tao Te Ching, which is the quote that the Tao that can be spoken of is not the real Tao. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal name. In other words, the true source of spirituality, of God, the universe, consciousness, whatever you say it is not. So we have to go beyond logic, in my opinion, in order to get to really the heart of spirituality. Sorry, I'm getting a bit super spiritual at the moment. Maybe it's because I put this star anise in my coffee and it's got me all spiritual. I don't know. Domenico says, it's crucial to question whether the goal's attainable. Yes, we spoke about that before, Domenico. Zoya says, I'm inspired by spirituality because it opens new doors, realms, and possibilities. Yes, it does. And really, it is a lifelong thing. And you only realize that after you've been playing with spirituality for 20 years. And then certain things start to happen. What can I say? Reem says, I can see Elon Musk here, and he really is a hero since he put his ideas into action. He thought of changing the bird on Twitter to X, and he did it, even though people did not like it. Reem, I think that's the worst example of something that Elon Musk has done, but well done. I think for me, the really inspirational thing that Elon Musk has done is SpaceX. Like Tesla, okay, whatever. I don't care about electric cars, but SpaceX is amazing. The guy started a private space company with a recoverable rocket, and no other space company is anywhere near SpaceX. They're the best in the world. Right? That is an incredible achievement. I'm really interested in SpaceX. And although Elon Musk mainly, he's a businessman and a marketing guy, but partly it's his, I don't think he's as innovative as he thinks or as people think, but he's someone who's prepared to put money into these things, and that's brilliant. Is Neil from the BBC English? Alexander, do you mean Andrew Neil? Andrew Neil's Scottish. Daisy says, nothing is more inspirational than unbelievable stories of other people, stories that resonate with us. Yes, it's amazing. Sometimes you hear a real story and it's less believable than a fictional story. Pavia says, great stories inspire me because they tap into universal themes, emotions, experiences, allowing me to relate and emphasize with the characters and their journeys. Yes, spoken like a true literary scholar. And Alexander is quoting a saint about the topic of Barack Obama, I think, saying, before saving others, save yourself. Yes. Kamal says it's not easy to go outside of our comfort zone. Julia says, I feel guarded by guardian angels. Something along the line of guidance. Show me the synchronicities. Yes, Julia, I love the word synchronicity. I love the word synchronicity. That idea that when you start to find that invisible thread in the universe leading you in the right direction, and suddenly everything starts to line up, that is the power of synchronicity. What is the real value of space, says Alexander? It's the next frontier. If we did not always push the next frontier, then we would still be living in caves on an island, not going anywhere. The United States would not be developed. It would still be a tribal country. We wouldn't have all these amazing technologies. We wouldn't have computers. The development of computers partly came out of the space race. So even if there's nothing in space but rocks, worthless rocks, then it's still so valuable to go. I don't know anything about Neil Edgeller. I think BBC Learning English was good 10 years ago. God helps people who can help themselves. Something like that. I don't think it's that simple, though. It's like I said, you can't put words on it. Music is essential, definitely when you fall in love and you can stand up by listening to inspirational music. Hey, you're right, Pure Care. Inspirational music can give you confidence, actually. All right, everybody. So that was a great little conversation that we had there on inspiration. We're going to move on now, and we're going to move on to achievement. So take a look at some of the achievements here. Which one is important to you and why? Which one is important to you and why? So here are some achievements. We could also call them goals. And this is important because, as I said before, your goal has to resonate. If your goal doesn't resonate, then it's not a useful goal. That's really interesting, Julia. I would highly recommend 2 spiritual teachers that I have listened to in the past, and they are Shinzen Young and Muji. Especially Shinzen Young. Shinzen Young is a great teacher, and he is traditionally Shoto Zen Buddhism, but he's very open to other things. He talks about San Juan de la Cruz in Christianity and Teresa de Avila, who are contemplative Christians who meditated and found God through meditation, much like the Buddha. And Shinzen Young is really good at bringing together the ideas of finding God in different religions. So I recommend Shinzen Young. Also, Muji. Muji is a bit more feeling-based. He's obviously someone who has attained some form of spiritual awakening, but he doesn't have the same analytical understanding as Shinzen Young. Yeah, Shinzen Young has 2 YouTube accounts, And although the videos are quite old now, I highly recommend it. They're great. His satsang and talks are really good. Muji is still making videos. Muji is much more about one specific method, but he welcomes people from different religions. His method is self-inquiry. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Who are these thoughts? Who are these thoughts? But Shinzin has a much more holistic approach. So let's see what people say about achievements. So Kamal says, having a happy family is the most uplifting goal. It's taken me a long time to start to appreciate that, Kamal. As I was younger, I didn't realize that's something I wanted, and I've really started to desire that more and more, and now it's become actually one of my primary goals. Manuel says, being married for 45 years is impossible. 10 years is the perfect time, or a bit less. So Reem says that having a doctorate or a PhD is a great achievement, allows you to teach other people. And Daisy says having a happy family is an ultimate goal in life. Yeah. So obviously, Daisy, a really important thing, if that's your goal, is, of course, choosing the right partner. Maria del Carmen says, I love climbing a mountain. Do you climb mountains, Maria? Do you get that sense of achievement? Some people are really driven by these incredible physical feats, these really difficult physical goals. And actually, we have in history, we have sort of many examples of that, don't we? Where someone has pushed themselves to do something almost impossible. And by doing so, they've shown that it is possible, and they've pushed things forward with humanity. Like, is there any value in Usain Bolt? When Usain Bolt is running 100 meters super fast, I say yes, there is. Because there's sports technology, there's nutrition, there's dedication, and we learn a lot about how we can push our reality to the limits. So Pavia says, I want to quit my alcohol addiction, maintain overall well-being, and regain control of my life. Pavia, you're so young to have an alcohol addiction. Are you sure you have an alcohol addiction? Yes, I am dedicated to quitting alcohol. Actually, I haven't drank in 9 days today, which is quite an achievement for me because I am normally someone who drinks every day, with a Christopher Hitchens kind of perspective. But right now, nothing for 9 days. And actually, my objective is that I will not drink again alcohol. I'm finished with alcohol. By the grace of God, perhaps. Well, certainly by the grace of God. It's one of those things, addiction, that you try and you fail, you try and you fail, you try and you fail, and then suddenly, that's it. It's over. It's gone. And it can be very difficult to get to that point. You have to maybe go through some painful things. I have a friend who quit alcohol 5 years ago, and he wasn't only addicted to alcohol, he's also addicted to cocaine. So he would binge drink and take cocaine, and every day he'd do this. He was a chef, so he'd go work in the kitchen and start doing cocaine, and then alcohol and cocaine, and go out. And he said, Rich, the reason why I could quit is because I realized either I had to stop now or I would be dead in a month. Like, my life would be over. Right? So it's so extreme, and he knew there's no choice. either I quit everything or I'm dead. And so he quit. And then a year later, he got married to an Indian lady, actually, who, interestingly enough, is a Christian, quite spiritual. And he's never drank again, doesn't drink, doesn't do cocaine, obviously. And he's a very positive, productive guy. But it took that extreme negativity. And that's one of the things that I always found difficult. Because for me, alcohol never caused a lot of problems. And that's what made it so difficult to quit. Because I could drink and still work. I could drink and wake up the next day feeling great. So it's like alcohol seemed to have no downside for me. But of course it does. It gradually has a downside. So it can be actually more difficult sometimes to quit an addiction that doesn't seem dangerous. Well, Pure Care, that level of alcohol would not be a problem. So basically, alcohol is kind of a poison. And in order for it to be addictive, you really need to have quite a lot. Alcohol is not a substance that you have one time and you're addicted. That's not how alcohol works. And it's the same with smoking. You don't get addicted from one cigarette. Actually, the first cigarette you have is horrible. It's disgusting. Right? You need to keep having it while it's disgusting to get addicted. So alcohol and cigarettes are very different than things like cocaine. Because drugs like that are great the first time you have it, and that is really dangerous. By the way, I've never had cocaine, but I have had in hospital, I had, what's it called? Morphine. And morphine is kind of like heroin, but they use it in hospital for painkiller. And I'll tell you, morphine is great. And because of that, you have to be very, very careful with morphine. I was in hospital. They gave me the morphine. 3 hours later, the nurse come back and she says, I have some more painkiller for you. And I'm like, oh, morphine. And she's like, no. Paracetamol. And I'm like, paracetamol? Oh, come on. What about the morphine? Give me the morphine. So, yeah, watch it. That stuff's really good. I can totally understand how people get addicted to things like morphine, and I feel very sorry for them. Whew. At least with alcohol and cigarettes, it tastes horrible the first time you do it. All right, so that's our achievements. Now, I said at the start that I wanted to give you some recommendations for reading. So we're going to do that now. And these are some of my favorite self-help books. The best self-help books that I've come across in my life. Personal development. So number 1. Actually, we'll do a reverse order. Number 6, we have The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. This is a very famous Portuguese book about a shepherd who is searching for something. And there's a lot of messages in the book about things inside your head and the real world and so on. Moving on, we have 2 books mainly for men. So these are books for men, really. Maybe they can work for women as well, but I feel like they're very masculine books, okay? And these books are Discipline Equals Freedom by Jocko Willink and Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. So Can't Hurt Me, David Goggins, and Discipline Equals Freedom by Jocko Willink. These are very masculine self-development books. I'm sorry, ladies, I don't have a equivalent recommendation for you. Of course, feel free to read these books if you're more of a a kind of that kind of lady who wants discipline equals freedom, but I think that these particular books do appeal to men more. Okay, moving on. Number 3, and this book was bought by my fiance. She bought me this. It's Atomic Habits by James Clear. I actually have that book right here on my desk. And this is quite a recent book, but it's really popular, and highly recommend it. So Atomic Habits by James Clear, a modern personal development book, very popular and really interesting. Moving on, this next book is if you have problems making friends, or you have problems keeping friends, or you have a social problem and you want to make more friends, this is the best book, and it's like 100 years old. It's How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Sounds like such a cheesy book, and the idea of influence people sounds almost manipulative. It's not manipulative. This book teaches you how to be a more positive person, and with this book, if you follow the rules in this book, you will 100% notice a difference in your life. I first read this book when I was 19, and I did not have a lot of friends. And I read this book, and I started to immediately do the things in the book, and I noticed things change straight away. I noticed things change immediately. Not with my current friends, because they expected me to be a negative person. So they were just kind of surprised. Like, who is this person who's, like, normally he complains all the time. Why is he not complaining? It was with new people. I would go and meet new people, and they'd be like, Rich, you're so positive. And I was like, whoa, people never said that before. I'm so positive. Oh, you really listen. You really understand people. I'm like, what is all this? Nobody's ever said this stuff to me. So I highly recommend How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's a really good book for becoming a better friend yourself. And you might need to change the people you hang around with, because your old friends might be more negative, but you will find it has a massive effect on new people you meet. And finally, the number one personal development book ever, in my opinion, is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Remember that this is coming from someone who is not money motivated. I am not highly money motivated, but this book is fantastic. It's a must read for anyone who is into personal development. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I believe it's one of the best-selling books of all time in the West, for sure. So Manuel recommends 100 Years of Solitude. Very good. English for today. It's an English class. How can you say bad words? I didn't see the bad words. What did he say? Sorry. Yes, no bad words. Come on. I send another channel. Sorry, I send here. Okay, don't do that. Pure Care. I have thousands of friends, but they never come to my home. Okay, well, if you read How to Win Friends and Influence People, maybe they will. You can also get the audio versions of this, by the way. If you're on Audible, you could do that. I really should have affiliate links for these. The Power of Now, says Kamal. So if I really never liked Eckhart Tolle's style, and I've still never really got on with Eckhart Tolle's style. But yes, The Power of Now, lots of people do like it. It doesn't work for me. It's not my thing. Thank you, Pallavi, for monitoring that. I don't say ProfRich. All right, English for today. You made a mistake. That's fine. That's perfectly okay. I think it's about time that young Pallavi got a promotion. for her dedication to the channel and her help in creating a positive environment. Oh, Daisy says, Pallavi, relax. All right. Yeah, relax, Pallavi. It's all right. You identified it. She apologized. English for Today apologized, and we've moved on. We have moved on now. But thank you for helping to create a nice environment. So they're my book recommendations. And now we are coming to the end of the class. So this is not the end of the stream because, of course, we need to go through the homework from last week. We will be going through the homework from last week. But first, Maria del Carmen says, must be feminist, and other books. I think that feminists can be inspiring for women, but I think there are non-feminists who also can be inspiring for women, Maria. Because if you read only feminists, then if your goal is to have a family, feminists often find it quite difficult to reconcile the idea of being a strong, career-driven woman and also having a family. Not everyone, but some people. And I think my fiance, for example, she's a very feminine woman. She wants to be successful, but she doesn't want to be like a man in the workplace. And so a lot of feminist literature, it doesn't resonate with her. She prefers kind of a different kind of femininity. Saying that, she is the person who bought me this book. And she does love this. Okay. I sent you the double recording, Rich, says Manuel. Yeah, I know, you're complicating my life, Manuel. Can you not just make it easy for me? You know, I have enough administration as it is, and now you're just making me more. You're just giving me more administration. I forgot that today Carrie was going to do a live stream. Oh my God, am I clashing with Carrie? That is a big mistake. Sorry about that. That's so funny because I actually emailed Carrie yesterday to ask her about doing a collaboration. I did not mean to stream jack her time. Sorry if I did that. See, Manuel, I'm actually doing this administration now, getting your audio, overwriting the file, blah, 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 blah. Ugh, admin, man. It's not my thing. Does anyone have any questions about the lesson today, or shall we move on to homework? Just give you a few minutes. What is the link on the screen? It's for the notes from today, Alexander. Yeah, male students submitted homework. What have we got? We got Manuel and Uladzimir. Manuel and Uladzimir both submitted homework. But I've decided that I'm not going to look at Manuel's homework because he sent me 2 copies, which is against the rules. Just kidding. Thank you, English for today. The issue with other languages, by the way, bad words, good words, whatever words you say, fantastic. But the rule really is, this is the rule, we keep the conversation in English in the chat. Thank you. Yeah, exactly as Pavia said. Always keep it in English. It's funny, English for today is trying to be nice there, saying a nice thing, but yeah, the word should be always be in English. Always be in English. All right, let's move on from this moderation discussion. Nobody seems to have questions, so we're moving on now to homework. Let's get talking about the homework. So the homework question was, how have you developed your fluency in English? How have you developed your fluency in English? Record yourself talking about the topic. Speak for a maximum of 3 minutes. Send it to me and we can go here. Now, I really did want to try out my auto transcription, but I completely forgot about it, so I haven't programmed it to do this task. So that's really annoying because I did really want to do that. Never mind. Next time we do this, I will test out my artificial intelligence transcription. So in the meantime, what we'll do is I want you to listen. Make notes, listen, make notes on what these students say. Who do you agree with most? So that's your task. And we're going to start with Daisy. And my cat is snoring. That's interesting. Okay, let's move on. Daisy.
Hi everyone, I'm going to share with you my journey of being fluent in English. It took me approximately 1 year to get a good level of English, which means being able to communicate with foreigners fluently. One important thing I have to mention is that when I started learning English as an adult, I didn't live in an English-speaking country, and no one in my family could speak English at that time, even though I do have some foreign friends now, but I didn't have any English-speaking friends in the beginning of my journey. You may wonder, why do I need to tell you about this? Because I want to debunk the ongoing assumption that you won't be able to speak English fluently if you study English in your own country. I firmly believe that everything is possible as long as your determination is strong enough.
Are you reading from a script, Daisy?
My journey began after I graduated from Science University, which wasn't related to English at all. At that time, I wanted to change my life completely and show my mom that following my passion is a way to live, even though I knew it would be difficult for me to pursue that path
Okay, I take it back then. Very good.
without my mom's financial support. After figuring out the best way to learn English for me is the most natural way. When you're a baby, all you do is to listen to what people are saying for months or even years before being able to speak on your own. And that's the natural way to learn English. Without hesitation, I decided to quit my 9 to 5 job and learn English in my free time. Initially, I decided to work on my listening skills by watching movies, cartoons, and films in English for hours on end without turning on the subtitles. You may ask me, was it easy? Definitely not for me at that time. After being overwhelmed with English for 2 to 3 months, I got used to listening to English without the urge to check words in the dictionary. Then I started learning English from an American tutor to enhance my speaking skills, which was the best decision I have made in my life. He was very strict with me and only allowed me to communicate in English. Not only he trained me to become a better speaker, he also introduced me to the English-speaking community, enabling me to be fully immersed in English at my own pace, and I could find a job in English-speaking community. However, my English journey took an unexpected turn when the pandemic came. I started learning English online by participating online stream and learning English from news and TVs. And I must say that there's not only one thing I can point out and confirm that I did only this thing to be fluent in English. It's a combination of many things I did, and I'm still learning English for now to maintain my proficiency.
All right, there was quite a lot to take in there. So let's see what things people picked up on in the chat. Oh, your tone changed. Yeah, it can be really off-putting, can't it, when you're practicing speaking another language and then you know that someone else is listening to you. That is something that really does happen. And it can make it difficult because you become sort of self-conscious. I mean, this is definitely something I had. And when I was learning Spanish, I used to speak a lot out loud on my own to practice. And I think you get to a point where you just don't care. And then you start to tell people, like, if someone hears you practicing, they say, "Oh, I heard you talking to yourself in a weird language." You say, "Yeah, I'm practicing my Spanish." That's it. And you just get to that attitude where you're just like, yes, so what? So that's pretty cool. Does anyone have any other comments about some of the things that Daisy was talking about? I think this idea of the English speaking community I found really interesting. This idea of somehow you find the English speaking community, that's massive because there is an English speaking community everywhere in the world, basically. So there are places you can find that community. You just find out where are all the English teachers hanging out when they're not teaching. Now, remember what I said last class? Don't be the person who's making friends just to practice English, right? Go there and really make friends. And the practice English just becomes a bonus. Yeah, studying to maintain proficiency. I think we can see from the way that Daisy talks that her fluency actually seems to be very good. And I've had comments before about pronunciation. I actually listening there to that one, Daisy. I think one thing I would recommend for you is learning about pauses, intentional stress, and trying to emphasize intonation. So pauses are what I'm doing now, where I'll talk and then deliberately stop. I wonder if the 3-minute limit made you speak faster because you want to say as much as possible in 3 minutes. That's possible. But certainly this kind of pausing can help make your speech more clear. And then for intonation, something you can do with intonation is you listen to a phrase and then you do the da 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 or la 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 language, right? So if I listen to a phrase like, "Do you want a cup of tea?" Da 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 da, or la 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 la, right? So you practice, but just with one word. So we're really focusing on the intonation and nothing else. Like, hello everyone, today I'm going to share with you my journey of being fluent in English. Da 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 da. Right? That can help to really improve your pronunciation. So I have got my program working. So I actually do have Daisy's script here. I'm really impressed with myself that I could do that while I was listening. So here is my transcription. Oh God, it's way too big. But okay. Here's my transcription of Daisy's audio. I don't know what the best way of giving that to people is, but hey, I've got it. It's actually really impressive because, this tells you how good Daisy's English is, that it's all pretty much transcribed perfectly. So, I guess we can move on then to our next person. Who is the next person? The next person is Julia H. Can't imagine what the H stands for. Anybody know? So let's move on now. We got Julia H. And we're going to stay with the same instructions there. All right. Okay, so once again, let's listen.
From my learning experience, I came to know that there are several techniques to develop the fluency skill in English, such as the lexical approach, word-to-word thinking, shadowing, personalization, learn vocabulary mining, or learn the new words day in, day out. It's a great way to improve, to widen your vocabulary, learn chunks, collocations, and phrase words, self-talk, auto-narration, auto-narration, think in English, immerse in yourself in English, in shadowing process. The physical fluency and the mental fluency are inextricably linked and go hand in hand with each other, make a meaningful contribution to the process. As a prime example, listen a phrases up to 2 seconds. Wait for 3 or 4 seconds. Reflect it in your memory, in the back of your mind, and then speak out loud while focusing on your pronunciation. Last but not least, one of the most barriers to developing English speaking skill is confidence. It is something that all language learners have difficulty with, and one of the best ways to overcome is go out and practice. I believe that if you apply all the mentioned above techniques to practice in day-to-day basis, you will be significantly improved in your English speaking fluency skills.
All right, very good. Interesting thing here is I can see a limit to my transcription is that for some reason my transcription, which is my program, I program this using ChatGPT, it's added in an advertisement for ingvid.com, which I don't even know does ingvid.com exist? Yes, it does. That's so weird. So ChatGPT actually just added that because Julia didn't say it. But anyway, if you want the script for Julia's, then it's there. I've also got Daisy's script if you want to see the script of what they said. So, Julia, we can see your fluency pretty good. You've got some pauses in there. Speaking a bit slower than Daisy. You need to think a bit more perhaps, but your pausing is nice. Intonation, again, I think would be a good thing for you. So, again, to get that sort of presentation intonation. And that is the kind of intonation I'm using right now. That sort of presentation intonation. You can a good source for that is TED Talks. And like I say, you do the kind of shadowing that you described, and then hum or use la 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 da 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 to get the sound, right? Like, oh, I'm so sorry about that. Da 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 da. Right? You're just singing it. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Yeah. What are you talking about? Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Right. Yeah, practicing the intonation, like just like that. All right. Okay, moving on. I would also say, Julia, yeah, you basically mentioned every technique that I talk about. So that's good. So you're picking up all of these excellent techniques for improving fluency. Thank you very much. Fantastic. Brilliant. I try my best. Next time you say credit Professor Rich. All right. We're on to Manuel. Okay, everybody, get ready. Hold on to your seats because we're about to go 95 miles per hour or 195 miles per hour with Speedy Gonzalez here. I think he's actually gone at the moment. Has he left the chat? Okay, let's have a listen to the lovely Manuel.
Hi everybody. Today I'm talking about how I became fluency in English. Little did I know I were fluency, but in my case, I started to learn English when I was in the high school. But through my long time life, I have enjoyed with the English because of the group, the musical group, and so on. So I really was good learning language at the school, in high school. I learned English. I learned a bit Italian and a little French. But in order to try to explain how I became fluent in English is my rule. My rule is be professional, believe in yourself, not earn money, and behind your emotion and some empathy. Be professional, be persistent. Every day, every single day, you need to working out. In my case, I have a problem with my hair. I have a hair impaired, so I need something help for listen. So I have a little obsession with the listen. I developed my skill better. For example, I'm good writing. I'm good. I think I'm good. I writing, of course, reading, absolutely reading. But I have a bad accent. But I can develop a conversation in English with the teach and more. You need to invest in yourself so you can speak with another one. There is a lot of website. You can book lesson. In fact, I have a lot of Twitter with a lot of website and try to select several teachers in order to get lesson. For example, one for grammar, one for phrasal verb, and whenever you want. But you need to be conscious, be strong, die hard, be inveterate with the English, fanatics about the language. Something like you need to to express, be consistent. Okay, there is no bad money. There is no bad money. For example, so you need have a little empathy as well in order to be fluent because when you are helping to another one, you are really learning English. When you are chatting with in English, you are learning English. When you are looking up in Google for a word, you are learning English. When you are thinking in English, you are learning English. So be conscious, be persistent, and never give up. Keep in mind one thing. Nobody is perfect. So you want the perfectionist, you will never, you will never enjoy with the language. Okay, thank you very much.
All right, so let's see what comments we have about Manuel. Now, Manuel, I think, has disappeared because he had somewhere to go, unfortunately. So, Manuel, he slowed down a bit there, which is absolutely brilliant because normally Manuel speaks a bit too fast. And you may have heard there, Manuel said he has a hearing problem, which does negatively affect his pronunciation, can make it a little bit difficult sometimes to understand him. Now, what I do have is I do have the script. So if you want to actually have a read of what Manuel said there, you will actually see that he does have some grammatical problems, but mainly Manuel actually has very good vocabulary, and you can see that by reading the script. My AI model has been able to pick up most of what he said quite well. So that is sufficient. So, he says stuff like, so I have a little obsession with listening. I develop my skill better. Yeah, and then he kind of goes off a little bit. So unfortunately, Mr. Manuel disappeared, so he can't comment on that. We're going to move on then to Pavia.
I developed fluency.
I like that I. Sounds very Hermione. I instead of I. I. It's kind of, some posh people, they say that.
Constant practice, immersion, and active engagement with the language. Firstly, I recognize that fluency in any language requires dedication and perseverance. So I committed myself to daily practice.
One thing you notice with Pavia, and this gives me a rare chance to criticize Pavia's English, is she has a lot of British English problems with word stress. So, for example, she said perseverance instead of perseverance. And that's probably Pavia's primary area of problem if we're looking at this from the idea of British English. In an international sense, you can argue it's not a problem.
Reading played a vital role in my language development. I immersed myself in a wide range of literature, including books, articles, and online resources. By exposing myself to diverse writing styles and topics, I not only expanded my vocabulary, but also gained insights into the cultural nuances of the language. And in addition to reading, I actively sought opportunities and to engage in conversations with native English speakers, whether through language exchange programs or online communities or social events. I practice speaking and listening to real life conversation, and this helped me to adapt to different accents, then colloquialisms, and even varied communication styles. And I regularly watched English language movies, TV shows, and documentaries, and listening to spoken English from varied sources allowed me to better understand different accents and regional variations, thus enhancing my overall comprehension. And I didn't shy away from making mistakes. I embraced them as a part of, learning process and welcomed constructive feedback from others. So this approach helped me to correct errors and refine my language skills continuously. And I paid attention to grammar and syntax rules. I studied grammar guides and took note from the correct usage of tenses, then sentence structure and word order. And this understanding allowed me to communicate more effectively and express my thoughts accurately. I integrated English into my daily life. I changed my device settings, used English language apps, and consumed, contents like news and podcasts in English language itself. And this constant exposure, I think outside of deliberate practice reinforced my, language skills and made English an integral part of my routine. And I have to say, it was a rewarding experience that not only improved my language skills but also provided me with a deeper appreciation for diversity and beauty of the English language.
Yep. So absolutely brilliant. We expect brilliance there, and we get it. Yeah, as I said, my big criticism is the occasional. There's probably about 6 words in that where the word stress was incorrect. The most egregious of which was the word errors, which sounded not quite right to me, but otherwise absolutely phenomenal vocabulary. And if you have a look at the pace bin, you'll see there some of the excellent vocabulary employed by Pavia. So Pavia really talks a lot about immersion, which is difficult. It's something that I think is easier for young people, but older people, we've got commitments, we've got work, we've got families. Not so easy to immerse yourself totally in English as much as possible. Because Pavia talks about something which actually I don't recommend personally, which is changing device settings into English on your devices, mobile phones and stuff. For me, I just find that a complete waste of time and a massive frustration for most of my students. However, if you're in a circumstance where you really can just 100% immerse, then obviously it can be useful because you just have nothing to hold on to but English, so you have to do it in English. Does anyone have any other comments there? Rich, I have a feeling everyone went over 3 minutes. A little bit, yeah. And I'm thinking next time I might actually make it 2 minutes. So, Pallavi, I didn't receive anything from you. Did you send me a recording? Because I didn't get it. And actually, with regards to accent, Pallavi, I don't remember noticing much of an accent with you. I can't remember. I would certainly say, Pallavi, you don't have a stereotypical Indian accent at all, right? In fact, I haven't heard anyone with a strong Indian accent here. Right, let's have a listen then to Pilar. I don't know, Pilar, are you in the chat? I got this by email. I don't ever see a user called Pilar, so I don't know who this is. But let's have a look. This will be a Spanish speaker, I think. Pilar is a common Spanish name.
Hi, Rich. So I wanted to tell you how I improved my fluency in English over the years. Although I have to say I do not consider myself a fluent person
Is this hint?
yet, because sometimes I tend to forget some verbs or vocabulary, and that makes it really difficult for me to express what I'm thinking at the moment. Okay, so the first technique that I normally use would be the shadowing technique. I found it really useful for me, and I usually play a TV show. I prefer watching a sitcom, just because I find it easier to follow what the actors are saying. Well, and I do what you explain in class. I pause the video and I repeat the sounds that I hear, and so that I can learn new phrases. And I started using this technique in order to improve my accent, but I actually didn't know how much impact it will have on my fluency. And finally, I also know that some students say that practice is the key to fluency. And I can say I totally agree with that. I remember when I used to go to in-person English classes, I would have the opportunity to practice with my classmates, and we would discuss different topics. We would say our opinions, and then we would learn new vocabulary also in that way. And when I do that, I usually try to speak for longer period of times that I normally do. So that's it. That will be my answer for today's class question.
All right, that was an absolutely fantastic answer, and actually, I have to say, I really like that answer. Don't know if you're watching the video, Pilar, rather than watching the live stream, but yeah, absolutely fantastic, really well explained, and some very interesting ideas expressed there as well. This idea of putting yourself in a situation where you need to speak for a longer period of time than normal. So this is the idea of going outside your comfort zone. And I think that Pilar there expressed that really well. And I think anyone who is a language learner can relate to the idea of having to push themselves outside of their comfort zone. And that really works well if it's incremental. So you just go a bit further, a bit more beyond, you're used to speaking English for 15 minutes. Well, now you're going to do 30 minutes, or now you're going to do an hour, or now an hour and a half. And you'll find it just pushes you a bit more. You get a bit more tired, but it has this incremental effect of improving your fluency. Oh, don't worry, English for today. Everybody's over it. Just relax. It's not a problem. All right, Pallavi, I didn't record my paragraph, but I wrote it and sent you an email. Did you? Did you? Did you? Well, I'm going to play Uladzimir. Wait, what's his name? I'm going to play, Uladzimir, okay? And while I play Uladzimir, I'm going to call him Ulad the Great. While I play Ulad the Great, I'm going to have a look for your email.
I developed my fluency by the following. Remember and retell rhymes, part of poems. If I read chorus, Molin knew alone words during the dreaming. Sometimes I found lists of spelling bee competitions and check them to find interesting words for me. Sometimes I have unstoppable wish to add consonant additional consonant to new words. How I know parts of them, and sometimes there is a new surprising meaning in completely known for me technical word. Maybe it's social meaning for technical word. Other words I know, I suppose it only fantasy or fantastic, but it's used in biology, for example, or names of real places in comic books, or learning new meaning of words from two parts, simple translation of each part I know, but the resulting meaning of all word is completely different from I thought about.
So that was Ulad the Great. And actually, there's a few things I really appreciate about Ulad. And one is that we just talked with advice from Pilar about pushing your comfort zone. And I think we can see there that this is someone who is pushing their comfort zone on the recording and trying to be more fluent. And I think everyone who's a language speaker can relate to that frustrating phase of intermediate, pre-intermediate, where every word is like an effort to get out. And we have someone there, Ulad, who's going through that, and we're seeing him do that effort on the audio, which I think actually makes you quite brave because the thing that some people might do is maybe they would just write a little script so they sound better or something, but that's not what we're getting there from Ulad. We're really getting him just doing the actual, just speaking and trying his best to speak in a communicative way. So that was absolutely fantastic, and a great list of advice there. I'm just going to see if I can get a transcript of yours, Ulad, because I had a problem with the file. So everyone sends me different things in different formats. Yeah, I don't know why, but for some reason, it really, my little script just really dislikes your audio. I've even tried converting it to other formats. I'm just going to try one more thing. So we'll take that, and I will try putting a compressor on this, and then I'm going to save it as a WAV file. If anyone has any questions about learning English in general, or any questions about today, now is the time to post those in the chat. Why doesn't it like this? I don't understand why it doesn't like it. Just try one more thing. Of course, my computer is starting to go crazy. Don't know why. That's the thing I always love about computers. They just go crazy sometimes. Even though I understand what's going on normally. Just like my Windows Explorer button just decides not to work. Why? I don't know why. It just doesn't want to work. Yeah, has no problem. Has no problem at all opening up anyone else's, but for some reason it just does not like Vladimir's. I'm sorry, Vladimir. I don't know why. I don't know what the problem is. Can't decode bytes in position 7374. There's something about your audio which is just breaking my program. I don't know. Sorry, no script for you, lad. Pallavi says, what about me? Did you get my homework? Pallavi, I don't have it. Can you send it again? Did you send to ProfRich@gmail.com? Because I don't have it. If you sent it to ProfRich@gmail.com, I don't have it. So you have to send it again. Oh, Vladimir, you wrote this transcript in the email. Is that true? Oh, you did? Okay, I thought you were speaking off the cuff. Did you transcribe this after you spoke? Because it did sound like you were obviously trying to speak fluently without reading the script. So I assume that you transcribed it afterwards. Here's Vlad. Pallavi says mine was silly, so it's okay. All right. Yeah, that's really nice of you to say, Daisy, to ask other students for feedback, and I really agree with that. So I totally think it's an interesting idea to ask, for example, for Pavia for feedback on your way you speak. So Pavia, as I said, it's the word stress. So you want to look at certain words where you have incorrect word stress, which was a number of words. So actually what I would say, Pavia, is rather than focusing on this from an error correction standpoint, although these are fossilized errors, as Domenico Lafauci often talks about, they almost certainly are fossilized errors with you. They're not slips, which means you do need error correction there. However, you can approach it from another way, which is just to listen and identify for word stress. Become better at listening to word stress. And then you'll start to notice more when people use different word stress to you. And that will start the process of autocorrection. So it's an idea of raising your awareness of word stress. And with you, it tends to be a big issue in kind of longer words with just 2 or 3 syllables. Other than that, that's it. Daisy, your speed is great. I don't think you're speaking too fast. And I think it is cool to speak English fast. I think that it might be more clear at times if you paused. Let me give an example.
Hi everyone, I'm going to share with you my journey of being fluent in English.
Right, it's like you're in a rush. It's like, hi everyone, I'm going to tell you my journey of being fluent in English, and then we actually hear you go to take your breath. Right, we can listen for this.
Of being fluent in English, it took.
Right, I can hear you take a breath.
Of being fluent in English, it took.
Of being fluent in English, it took. It's like you can't wait to get to the next thing. So I think, yeah, you could slow down a little bit. My journey of being fluent in English. It took me, right, just put in some pauses. Just put a few pauses in there. That's all. You don't have to slow down a lot. We can just slow down a little bit. So, because we don't want to sound like, okay, let me tell you what the next thing is, and then the next thing is this, and then you've got to do this, and then you go and cook your dinner, and you go outside and say hello to your cats, and make sure that when you see your cats that you say hello to my friend and my mum and my other friend, because they're really good friends, and I have some advice to tell you about this. So I'm just saying add a few pauses, that's all. Sorry, I'm not trying to make fun of you. I think you speak English very well. Just saying, don't be afraid to experiment with pauses. Pauses can make what you're saying sound more impactful. Like that. So think about that. And as I said, TED Talks are a great place to see that, because there you will see people who are good with that public speaking, so they can speak with gravitas, as we say. I don't know where you're sending this stuff, Pallavi, but I'm not getting it. I think you're sending this to the wrong person. Are you misspelling ProfRich? Because it's not spelt like English professor, it's spelt like the Spanish. Okay, Manuel's come back. He said, my fellow peers, all women are light years ahead of me. They are in the year 2525. Well done, Manuel. Is making friends there. Yeah, make sure, Pallavi, that you send to ProfRich spelled like Spanish. Yeah, that's not the right email address, Pallavi. That's not me. So you've been sending it to because that's the English spelling of professor, but annoyingly mine is not the English spelling, which I know is kind of annoying, but it isn't. So yeah, it's profesor, which is Spanish for teacher. Really, I should change the damn thing and start using, because I have another email address, which is profrich@gmail. I should start to use that. But at the moment, I'm not using. I think I own that one. I'm going to just send a load of emails out to see if I own that one. Because I registered a whole load of Gmail addresses ages ago to make sure that I own them. Oh, maybe not. I just sent a message to some random people. Yeah, I think you're sending the message to some random. He probably appreciates it. Yeah. You're sending the email to someone, but not me. You see their contact, probably because you one time accidentally sent to that, and now it appears in your contacts. So you should delete that and just use mine. Right, let's move on then. So everybody's leaving. See you later, see you later, see you later. I was here, but it's impossible to write on my keyboard. Hit the letters so hard. Really? You mean you were doing something else, Manuel? I thought you said you had to go. Thank you very much, everybody, for attending today. You can hear that my voice is now dying. So it does seem like 2.25 hours of streaming is my limit. And I'm absolutely starving, so I think it's time to go and get some food. Yeah, so once again, thank you very much. And I think we're wrapping up. It's been my pleasure. It's been absolutely wonderful to talk to you today about self-development. I hope it's been helpful, and I will see you all very soon. Thank you very much. Bye-bye now. Oh, that's the wrong one. Oh, that's the right one, I think. Is that the right one? Let's have a look what we got. Yeah, this one. Oh. Okay. No, wait. Is that the one? Yes, this is the one. Okay, now we just need some music to give us an outro. I don't know. I don't know what music. Sevcon will do, right? Everybody, thank you very much for coming today. Today is Tuesday. Our next stream, we might have a stream on Thursday. No, actually we won't. What am I talking about? Next stream 100% will be Saturday. And some interesting news, I guess, for people who are stuck around this long. The 12-month viewing time on the channel has just hit 2,000 hours. That means it's halfway to monetization. And the majority of that has happened in the last month. So in the last month, the view time on the channel is 800 hours, which means if that continues, then we should have features like membership and super chat by about November. So that'll be cool. And also ad revenue. But I think ad revenue will be quite small with just 4,000 hours. Maybe like £100 a year or something. Can't do much with that. But it's something. Yeah, I'll check it, Pallavi. Just for you. Have you sent it? Because I still don't have it. Maybe you should send me on Skype. Oh, don't feel sad. I'll check it.